Hello, my lovelies. All right, you guys, let me do this real quick. I'm good. Oh, welcome. Welcome in. I forgot my lipstick. I have been so busy, you guys. But it's because I've been working on the Nancy Guthrie case. And in that, everything I've shared with you, it starts explaining some things to me that I want to share with you. So, welcome in. Sorry about scheduling it for tomorrow and then changing it for today. I scheduled it late last night when I got done with all my research and making everything, and I had no idea it was already the next day. So, I am so happy to be here and be able to work with you guys because you are working with me. Now, I have a question. Is it possible that the friends of Nancy that were told to remain quiet by the family according to Brian Hinton, is it possible that they're getting on the internet and leaving comments? Because this comment has me like gobsmacked because I'm like, oh, wow. And so I'm going to share it with you. It has to do with the blood on the front porch. And did it come from Friday, not Sunday, not wee hours of the morning where she was taken out of her bed out the front door and therefore there's blood? But is it possible that this person's correct and that there are witnesses that were her friends that have been asked to remain quiet? Did they witness something? So let's get into this. Welcome to A Little Lemon True Crime. Mama D coming at you in the house. Thank you for all your patience. I know I have been very busy lately. We had our deck party yesterday. Congratulations to our winner. I'm trying to think because my mind's just drawn. I was up till really late, so forgive me. But congratulations to our winner, Tracy, I believe, who won the hat. That was awesome. And thank you for all the support. You guys are always so supportive every week at our deck party. We have so much fun. And that was a hoot. I thank you. Let's get into the Nancy Guthrie case. So if I'm off a little bit, it's because I'm tired. I'm just going to be honest. But I'm so deep in this rabbit hole. And I feel everything was planned, planted, and staged. That's how I feel. You may disagree. But when we look at this, it starts really leaving us with a lot of answers if this was planned and if Nancy is alive. Okay? So, in other words, this was never an abduction. This was never a homicide. This was, hey, come with us, Nancy. There's a threat, and we need to get our family safe. Something along that lines, like a lure that she probably still believes. But when you look at this entire case, I've covered over 100 missing person cases, well over 100, like 150 some. A lot of you people have been with me for years and covered most of them with me. Not once, never, ever, ever have I seen a family that has money react the way this family is. And so we have to go through what is available. What evidence do we actually have? And it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth, right? So we're going to talk about major red flags today. Linda says, allegedly, they're about to arrest someone. Oh, baloney. If they are, it's probably a patsy. That's how I feel. You'll see why at the end, why I feel the way I do. Eliza says, well, you're so experienced. I see this. Well, thank you, lovely. I'm just me. And it's not just me so experienced. Like a lot of the people that are in chat with you or on replay, I love you all so very much, have been with me for years and years and covered the same cases and worked the cases with me. I am never working alone. I have a huge amount of private eyes that bring up the best points, and we stay with it, we dig deep. And so it's not just me, it's a lot of us. And so we're looking at the red flags, and one thing that we can pretty much all agree on, okay, is that Annie and Tommaso did not share urgency, right? Did they already know about the blood? So when I say that they didn't show any urgency or showed no urgency, they got there at around 11. There's like 41 or 51 minutes before they're calling 911. So what happened? I mean, Nancy's not there. Her purse is there. Her phone is there. She's not there. How long does that take you to do some math? Let alone the back door is wide open. The gate is wide open. And there's blood on the front patio steps of the front door and in the entryway. Why wouldn't you be like, OMG, something happened, and be on that phone? They also had a delay because Savannah went on and said that it was late. She said it was evening when she got the call after she got home from her weekend with the kids at Carson. Which Savannah says she took the kids to Carson for the weekend. Did Savannah stay? And if we're going to put Annie and Tommaso under the microscope, why can't we do that with Savannah? Like, give us your alibi in a way that can't be denied. Not just say it and think that the whole world's going to buy the story when you're married to, allegedly, a scrubber that worked for the Clintons. I mean, you can't live in the house with the devil and hope that God's going to pay your rent. You're going to be out of luck. So, that being said, if you've been following me, the question would be then, was the blood, since it didn't cause an alarm apparently for Annie and Tommaso, was it from days before? So there's no crime scene inside the dwelling of this 84-year-old woman that would have been taken out of her bed. There's no they punched her in the bed, there's blood everywhere. No, the house is immaculate and there's nothing out of place, and therefore it's like immaculate. There's no crime scene inside. The only crime scene we have, and now I don't believe is part of that timeline, is the blood on the front porch and in the entryway. Because I have somebody alleging that they're in acquaintance with Nancy, and this person claims that Nancy showed up Friday night for game night with her friends. And one moment, please. I apologize. I am live, and that is my son, and my children come first. So, where were we? Friday night, the friend is alleging that they are aware that Nancy showed up at game night with her friends, that the family has asked the friends to remain quiet and not talk about Nancy, according to Brian Inton. That Nancy showed up with a bandaged forearm. That, let me see what this person wrote me. Hold on. Nancy had a huge bandage on her forearm with fresh dried blood under it on Friday night, game night, with friends. She got it going out to show her friends. Her red pot plants were blooming early on that front door area. Now, I'm protecting this person's name. So, what if the blood was already there? What if the blood was already at the house and not even part of the crime scene? Then we have no crime scene. Linda, honey, I think you're watching AI because you're coming up with these, more blood allegedly found. I suspect because they found out now. That's not happening. And I know you don't have like hidden sources, Linda. I know what videos you watch, and I believe you're watching AI. So careful what you share. If you don't have like couple sources saying that, then like if Brian Hinton isn't even talking about it and all that, it's probably unlikely not part of the investigation that the cops are sharing. So where'd you get the info from? Now in this case, this is a person that is saying that they know. And I happen to know that Nancy did do game night on Friday night with her friends. That's been shared. That was shared early on, that Friday night she played game night with her friends and celebrated her birthday, her 84-year-old birthday. So this person sounds like they're local, said Nancy had a huge bandage on forearm with fresh dried blood under it on Friday night, game night with friends. She got it going out to show her friends her red pot plants were blooming early on that front porch patio. If you look at the blood, some of it looks older than the rest. Bunny says, I've said from the beginning, knowing of Savannah the way I do publicly, this is a psyops. Okay. So what we have to then ask ourselves is, was the blood there from before? Is that why Annie and Tommaso wouldn't have been alarmed at seeing blood there? You feel me? We've got no crime scene inside the house if the blood is from the days before. And blood dried and undisturbed. No footprints, no smudging. Well, let's talk about how long does it take blood to dry. Now, it's different on different surfaces, but she had patio stones. So, my theory is, and wait till you see why I feel this way, that the blood was already there. And I'm about to show you why I really like, you can judge for yourself. I feel the blood was there before the perp even came onto that porch, and it was dried. Now think of the timeline. Blood typically takes 30 minutes to several hours to dry on patio stone or concrete, depending on temperature. Now remember, it's at night, right? Depending on temperature, humidity, and porousness. I can't even say that. Porosity of the stone. Small droplets may dry in an hour, while larger, thicker pools on porous, unsealed stone can take much longer and often leave a persistent reddish brown mark. Drying factors: high temperatures and low humidity accelerate drying, while high humidity and cooler damp conditions will extend drying time naturally. Appearance: dried blood on stone turns from red to brownish red or gray color. Well, we see that. Removal: because stone is porous, blood can deeply penetrate the surface. It is best removable fresh with cold water or dried stains Or for dried stains, you can use peroxide, okay? So here's the thing. This is why I think this blood was here before the perp came. If you look at this picture, you can see quite a bit of that foliage that the perp, the alleged perp, was using, right? Flowers, foliage, sprinkled all over here. Now, even if the blood is wet, even if the foliage lands on top of it, if it blows, it's going to leave a streak in the blood. It's going to leave a streak, a smear line. Like if a leaf rakes across the blood, it's going to leave marks because it's a track mark of its path. But look at this. Let's make this one smaller, and let's look at the blood that is dried underneath the foliage, and the foliage didn't even suck up any of the blood. See that? See over here, you've got dried blood and you have the foliage. But look at this one right in here. Let me see how big we can make it. That foliage is on top of the blood. Not only here, let me get my drawing stick. Right here, we need white. The red does not show up. Okay, so look right here. And I think this implies that the blood is old and has flaked off. That's what I believe. Flaked off. Like could be days old. Look at this one over here, flaked off. These donut rings, this is dried blood that has flaked off. But look over here too. Let's get all this off. We'll leave that one because that one is. But look at this. See? Yes, that blood looks old. It does. It definitely looks old. And with it being that this perp was disconnecting this cam, wouldn't you think that it was to bring Nancy out of the house? But if this blood was already here, then that could mean Nancy was taken off the back. Eliza says, wow, that's crazy. Yes, the blood is old. We don't know how old. We have no way to know. Here's the thing. That blood could have been there for so long. So it's like, when's the last time it rained? That's what I want to know. When's the last time that Tucson had rain? Whoops, let me undo that. Oh, I want that back. We're going to look. At this one. All right, so the last rain had been January 18th. And I'll show you how I know. Because I went over here to Davis-Monthan, AFB, Arizona Weather History. We've got, well, this is showing me February. Dang it. Y'all, it's reset on me somehow. Well, it was January 18th, but let me see if we could do it again. Maybe I could do it live with you to show you. Okay, let me grab the address again. I should have grabbed the link. Davis-Monthan AFB. Oh boy. Davis-Monthan AFB. Okay. Let's see if it gives me weather. We'll do that. How did I get to that link, right? Okay. Let's get it over there, y'all. I'll show you. We'll go to here. So we need monthly. Whatever. Okay. This is the Weather Channel. Oh, for Davis-Monthan, it's Air Force. Okay. Yep. And we need to go back a few months here. Sorry about the delay. Okay. We'll go to January. See, it says January, but up here it says February, so I don't get that. January 2026. All right. Now we're on to January. And we've got... I want the report, y'all. I saw it last night, and I grabbed the wrong dang one, and I'm not going to pay for the premium. But it had been 2 weeks. Just take my word for it, or go do your own research. All right, on that. So it had been 2 weeks, so it's very... I mean, there was no moisture. None. What just happened? Y'all, things are not making sense in this. So this chart here, I'm going to go ahead and play it. Maybe I fixed it while we were... Okay, let's see what happens. No, I didn't. I grabbed February's. No, I didn't because it says January, but over here it says February. I do not know. All I know, it was 2 weeks prior. So my point being, you guys, is this blood from that Friday. There'd have been no rain to disturb it. The foliage is on top of it, which to me means that it had to have 30 minutes before, at the minimum, maybe even an hour in the middle of the night when it's chilly, because it gets cold at night, right? It's the desert. It's hot in the day, cold at night. So the blood would have had to have had time to dry before the perp even gets on that porch, because he's walking all over. And the reason it would have had to have time to dry is because the foliage that he leaves is on top of the blood. On top of it. The blood should have been on top of the foliage. If we were to go with, well, okay, he was on the porch and then something happened to Nancy and there's this trail of blood. But actually, the foliage is on top of the blood, meaning the blood came first. This friend that was at game night, allegedly, because how else would they know, that she came with this big bandage unless they were talking to a friend. Okay? They could be a hoaxer. I don't know. But this is what they said, is that Nancy came to game night on Friday night with her friends with a huge bandage and dried blood on her forearm. Could that be why Annie and Tommaso didn't even think to be like, oh yeah, there'd be dried blood, we have to call real quick? That's shocking. Wind may have blown the foliage. Let me go back over. If the wind blew the foliage, and let me get this picture smaller. If the wind blew the foliage, being that it's all over here, you'd think that there would have been some blood on the foliage, right? Because it would have gotten into the blood and therefore have blood on the foliage. But that's not what we see. There's no blood visible on the foliage. I don't know. Just mentioned it rained. Well, it didn't rain that night. It was afterwards. She's talking about when it rained, when Nancy supposedly went missing. JR got there 14 days afterwards. Correct. I'm talking before. Okay, when I'm talking about rain, I'm not talking about after. I'm talking about from the day that Nancy Guthrie went missing. Before that, if this blood had been laying there for days, like since Friday at game night, I would need to know, if it rained, wouldn't it have washed it away? But there's no rain, so therefore it is possible that that is old blood. In other words, that blood could have technically been there since the middle of January, because there was no rain until the middle of January. I hope that made sense. Okay, you guys, let's continue. This is going to hit hard, you guys. I'm about to kind of hit some nerves here for some people. Yes, they didn't clean up blood, left for cleavers to clean it up, and he sure didn't. Thank you, Liza. Renee says, look at photo of her in Savannah at a Mexican restaurant. Large band-aid on her right arm confirms she bleeds easily. Hey, Dayo, good to see you. Hi, everyone. I live in West Phoenix, 15 years. The climate thins ear blood, too. I'm not on thinners, but no spring chicken, 66. Hello, lovely. Welcome in. Wendy Bay says, makes sense to me. Okay, you guys, let's look at this. Red flags. Not looking for mommy, right? You got millions. You make 10 million a year, allegedly. You're worth 80 million, allegedly. And you don't hire an organized search team. You don't hire a leader that leads a search team. You don't send people out looking for people. You don't hang up no posters. Now, how does that make sense? You have allegedly more money than you could possibly spend in a year, in my opinion, because I'm poor. Well, I'm rich in love. And you don't use that money to hire organized teams to look for your mother. That is wrong. That is wrong. That shouldn't happen. That is wrong on every level to me. I don't get that. Okay, here's another one. I don't get it. I don't get it. Explain it to me, you guys. Now, hold on. Let's back up. The only way it would make sense is if Nancy was alive. Like, you were like, come on, Mom, we've been threatened. Our family was threatened. You got to go here and we're going to put you in a little witness protection. Remember that game we played when we were a kid? It's called kidnapping. Well, we're going to pretend to kidnap you to protect you. So come with us. Okay, then that makes sense because she's alive. So why would you spend any money trying to find your mother? I'm just saying. Okay, so not looking for mommy. All right. Okay, what about telling us that you believe the ransom is real, agreeing to pay the ransom, but then not paying the ransom? Aren't you pissing off the people that you believe has your mother? Okay, let me put it in perspective. Pick someone you love, and in your mind, think of them in a peril situation with a no-gooder. And the no-gooder you believe has your loved one. And you believe it. You believe their ransom is real. You got tons of money. It wouldn't even put a dent in your little billfold. Like it'd still be just as thick when you're done paying. You say, yeah, I'll pay you. We're ready to pay. And we are going to pay. We understand and we're going to pay. And then you don't? Well, Aren't you worried that they're going to be mighty pissed off that you lied to them on camera? Okay? So you believe the ransom is real. You tell them you're going to pay. But you don't. Wouldn't that make more sense if Nancy was alive, right? You'd know they didn't have your mom. So you could play the game to help the feds catch the person, right? But you don't have to worry about it because they ain't got your mom. because your mom's alive. Okay, I'm just asking questions. Just playing, both sides of the field here. Nancy, okay, wait. Nancy is all about God, right? She's a God-fearing woman. Savannah's explained that was her faith. Savannah's even wrote books of faith, right? The thing God does. All right, listen to me. No prayer vigils, not held by family, not held by friends, not held by the church. Not one prayer vigil. Not one. And this is supposed to be this group of Nancy was loved by everybody. Nancy had so many friends, and we got not even her church. Not even the women that did the call to Annie and said, hey, your mom didn't show up. They didn't do a prayer vigil and hold that nowhere. Like, where's Nancy's church in all this? Nope. Right, Robin? Nothing. Head games. Faker, says Leslie. Now that don't make no sense. How can you be all about faith and not hold a prayer vigil, but do the opposite and don't do anything like that? Tell the friends to be quiet. Wait till Easter Sunday. Wear black. Put a black background. Question your faith in front of God and all the little children learning about Jesus. And ask if Jesus could have suffered as much as you. Okay, I told you I might take you off. So, for me, no prayer vigil? That would make sense. Would you pray to God that somebody be found safe and unharmed if you knew they're sitting right there fine and alive? Probably not. You see what I'm saying? Why does everything make sense if Nancy is alive? Like, no searching, no looking for mommy makes sense if you already know where she is. Not paying a ransom makes sense if you already know where she is, so they can't have her. Not holding a prayer vigil because you don't need to. Just throwing some things out there. Okay, let me see where we are. No friends speaking out. She's so loved and all this. And then we find out through Brian Inton, he's alleging that the family, the kids, Nancy's kids, are asking friends to not speak of Nancy. If she's dead, or if she's abducted, or missing, you want them talking about Nancy. The more people that talk about Nancy, the chances are better that you find her. But if this was Nancy's alive somewhere, that'd be kind of awkward for Nancy. But also, is it because Nancy did go to game night on Friday night with a huge bandage and dried blood, and all the friends had seen that she was showing on the front porch her flowers that had early bloomed, and they would speak of that, and all of a sudden the internet would have been like, hold the phone. Are you saying that Nancy, 2 days prior to this whole went missing, was bleeding in that front entryway and on the porch already? Oh. So you see what I'm saying? Why are the friends and so forth not speaking out? And why would the family of a missing mother not want her name spoken by her friends? I thought she was a good woman. I thought she was so loved. I'm sure they would have wonderful things to say about Nancy Guthrie. I can't imagine any of them saying something so negative unless they know about what happened when she was showing the flowers. So I find that strange. What are you guys thinking? Silk and velvet. Now you've said about church and people holding a prayer. Hey, all of a sudden Savannah will put one out to cover herself. Yeah, it'll be, playing catch up, but sure. Just saying. Leslie Walker says most of not all churches hold prayer vigils. Never heard of a church not having awareness for a member partitioner. The math is not matching up. Danielle says, in my opinion, they were involved. Robin says, this is so weird. So let's continue. Frail and unstable Nancy Ubered to Annie and Tommaso's house. Why? 1, she had a car. 2, she's frail and unstable on her feet, but she Ubered. Why? Why was family not able to come get her? That is strange to me, and I don't have an answer, but I find that a red flag, and someday we'll know more why. It'll make more sense. Jacqueline says, and you don't see anything of her friends visit the house and leave flowers at the Hope Memorial when there was everyone out there. Correct. Blue Rose Rambling said maybe the friends know the real relationship between Nancy Guthrie and her kids. Or maybe the friends had to sign a non-disclosure agreement to protect Nancy because they've been led to believe that Nancy was in danger prior. It's possible. Why the family stays silent? Yeah, I don't know. Jane Murray Green, that's why I said, why didn't her daughter pick her up? They sure dropped her off. I don't know. Did they? Who was in the seat with, in the passenger seat? Are we sure it was Nancy? Okay. Good segue. No footage of Nancy not even returning home. You notice that? We have no proof that Nancy ever went home. Nothing showing that Nancy went home. We're just being told that that's what they were told. But remember, there's no subscription to the video. There's none. So they don't get to see her either. All they have is possibly the weight of someone sitting on the seat and the little black box of Annie and Tommaso saying, well, there was a passenger. Who was the passenger? Who really got dropped off that night? You ever wonder that? Because if it was Nancy, why were her meds allegedly left on the counter? Her 10 p.m. meds allegedly left on the counter untaken. If it was Nancy, wouldn't she have taken her 10 o'clock pills? So maybe this person, one moment please.
Don't tell them about me.
This person maybe wasn't Nancy that got dropped off, right? So in their mind, they're not thinking about their 10 o'clock pills. They're thinking about getting the place staged, allegedly. Is this possible? Because nothing's mathing. I believe that too. I think the no subscription was done on purpose. I really do. Kimmy Norris says Nancy never came back to her house. That's what I'm saying. Who was in the seat? I don't know, y'all. Why wouldn't her 10 o'clock meds be there? Now, let's talk about the perp and the staging that I believe happened. How did the perp know how many cameras there were? How would he have known? He's just a random dude. He's going to know how many cameras? How's that even possible? He could always see certain ones, but he would never know if there was a hidden camera somewhere unless he was on the inside. And how did he know where the cameras were? How did he possibly figure out how many and where all the cameras were? How did the perp know that the camera had no subscription? That's what we just talked about. That's why I said perfect segue. All right, you guys. Let's talk about this. How did the perp know? How did he know there's no alarms? Like silent alarms, like you enter the house and you think everything's okay. Meanwhile, the police station's getting the alarm to come in. And therefore cops would be coming. Woo, 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 woo. And you're getting caught. How did he know there was no cops on their way? That he didn't trigger a silent alarm? How did he know that Nancy didn't have a weapon of self-defense? A pew-pew, a knife, mace, or bear spray? I mean, how did he know that? How did he know there were no guests? Surprise guests that came. How did he know there were no interior cameras that were going to record everything? How did he know there was no motion lights that would flick on when he approached the house? How did he know there wasn't a protective dog had passed access to the house? That makes sense, Miss Smells. That makes sense. He may have had past access. Danny believes, in her opinion, that the family member is a perp. Gotta be, she says. Little Sure Shot says, I've said that from first day. She never made it home, but people said she did because of the pacemaker. I think that's bull crap with the pacemaker and all that. Did they check the location of that watch when it disconnected? Or was that watch with Nancy at a different location and disconnected and returned to the house? I don't know. I just don't trust it. I don't trust it. Kimmy Noir says she was never dropped off, only garage door open and closed to stage. In your opinion, thank you. Even Lynette Hooker's mother is talking about doing a memorial already. 5 weeks out, no body, no information. Exactly. Where's the funeral? Where's the gravesite that you're going to go to? If you've come to this conclusion that your mother has passed away, most likely, I mean, you've gone back to work, everything's hunky-dory, you're all smiles getting ready to do not only your normal job, but a whole new game show. And yet you haven't even had a service to lay your mother symbolically to rest. It's so weird. First thought, female on porch. I agree. The last time I know Danger Zone that Tommaso played in his band was June of 2025. That's the last I can track him playing in his band, and it was at Club Congress, and it was the same week that DJ Mojito also played. Okay, you guys, so that's some questions there for you. Let's go ahead and get back over. I have more questions. We got a lot more questions. Red flags, too. Only Nancy gone. Okay, check this out. For those that are out there going, I think it was a burglary gone wrong. I'm not making fun of you, but I'm going to point some things out here. Didn't take the wallet. Didn't take jewelry. Like her wedding ring or nothing. Didn't take electronics like her Apple Watch or her phone. They didn't steal any of that. They didn't disturb the home in any way. They left it immaculate. They didn't force their way in. Oh, it was so fortunate. It was as if somebody left the back doors wide open. At least there was no forced entry. So how'd they get in the keyed gate unless it was already blocked open? You see what I'm saying? The gate is keyed. So how'd they get it open? Because it wasn't forced. It was blocked open. All right. Now, I know somebody's going to be like, they got the hair. The hair's probably from the dog that Nancy had back in December. Okay. That hair is not promising in my book. So, basically, in my opinion, didn't leave DNA. Not any that's going to work, right? But did they? Did they leave a shit ton of DNA? Because it was an inside job. And could it be family? Because that would have left DNA everywhere to find, and it wouldn't have mattered because they're cleared. Thank you, Sheriff Banana Nanos. And is that why they didn't get caught? Because the blood was from before. There was no homicide abduction. Is it because they were removing Nancy under a false pretense that she probably still believes now that there was a threat against the family and it had to happen? And they could justify it and feel good about it because Nancy was independent and strong and refused, in this theory, to have any help from anybody, even though she couldn't even walk down to her mailbox without, on some days, she just couldn't do it. But she didn't want help. She didn't like having helpers. But you're worried about your mom. So you make up this ruse so that she believes that your fame has put her life in jeopardy. Mom, you're going to have to move in to a new place where there's care. You know, you can't stay at this house anymore. There's been threats. And then, since you were about to lose your $8 million an hour job, I said $1 million an hour anyway, job, which I've proven was being flooded all over the internet. The media was saying that Savannah was terrified because the ratings soared to 12% when she had her throat surgery and couldn't talk and had her time off. All of a sudden, NBC couldn't do any better. They had their best response and views since the entire time Savannah had worked there for 14 years. They had never seen the likes of the ratings that high. And so we're getting mom good care, telling her, you know, it's a little white lie. We have to lie to mom and say, you know, Mom, you've been threatened, but hey, now she's going to get the care she wants and she's going to love it anyway. And at the same time, I'm going to get my publicity and my name is going to be all over everywhere. And if you didn't know my name, you're going to know my name after this. That's right. It's not Nancy Guthrie. It's Savannah Guthrie's mom. And, makes you wonder, is that why KOLD was chosen? Because that's where Savannah started with their news program. So she had a little inside friend that she could kind of like be like, here's a little message here. And then why not just bypass everything and just go right to a senator and be like, Senator Kelly, I need you to go handle all this and make sure Sheriff Banana Nanos does what we want. I'm just hypothetically throwing spaghetti randomly at the wall. But at the same time, it makes you ask a lot of questions. Yeah, it does. Okay. Staged part perp. He wanted to be seen, or she, right? Which is what I believe. She wanted to be seen. This person held eye contact with the camera. They wanted to be seen. They performed for an audience, trying to lower their height by scrunching down so you can't quite tell how high or tall they are. They wore many layers in their disguise. Yet they felt comfortable enough and confident enough to just do things at their leisure in their own time. And I believe, one moment. I believe they arrived after the blood had already dried. So, the one person that was so grateful and thankful that the porch perp was caught on camera happened to be none other than Savannah Guthrie. Because that way, the world knew what had come at her mother's door in the dead of the night. What a twisted tale. So the next question I have is, did Nancy really make it home? Because that's where I'm going next. And if you want to travel with me, I welcome you. But we are going to do our next live. We're going to pull some cards. If that is your thing, wonderful. Dive in with me. And if it's not your thing, I will see you again tomorrow. With that being said, I want to thank you for all the love and support and the likes and everything that you guys have done to keep me being able to share the voice for the voiceless, ask these questions, get your mind thinking, and remember, I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying it makes more sense if Nancy's alive. Like, that would make sense. Like, family would stage the whole thing. They'd know all that crap about where the cameras are and all that. Doesn't mean that's what happened, though. But it could explain if Nancy actually hurt her arm on the porch and in the entryway on Friday before she went to game night for her birthday and her friends knew. That would explain the friends being asked not to say nothing. And then that would mean that it was dry blood that had nothing to do with this incident. And that could mean simply that the perp on the porch could walk all over that. And all it would do is leave donuts where the blood flaked off. All right, my lovelies. KVOA, not KOLD. But I recall it was both received. Yeah, Savannah did work there. Yeah, that was, I mean, it's been told thousands of times, even by Brian Itton, that the first place was that's where Savannah worked there first. So, I don't know. Maybe this investigation's taken so long because the feds know Savannah is a mastermind, in your opinion. She'll have her fame for sure when the truth comes out. I don't know if the truth will ever come out, but I'm going to stay on this case for a little while till I can make sure that what I want is the truth. That's all. I don't care who it is. I just want the absolute truth. And with that being said, let's head over and see. Did she make it home? Did Nancy actually make it home? Or if not, who was Tommaso dropping off? That's a good question.
From the dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, my enemies will think they won, but I am here to stay. Destiny will overcome, no, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul will rise from the dark.